Good early morning, everybody. This is Pamela Parrish. This is probably the earliest that I've gotten on in quite some time, but I woke up this morning to my fan on my air conditioner not working. The heat seems to be working, just not the fan portion. Because with it being so warm the last couple of days, I haven't been wanting to turn on the air unless I absolutely have to. And as we all know, the weather in the Midwest and Northeast is going to cool down for a couple of days. And I'm glad I didn't set my air fully over to air conditioning. So, yeah. Um, but that's not really why I'm on here to talk this morning for about a half an hour to maybe 45 minutes. But I was on my Facebook this morning going through my feed, and I'll read some of the commentaries on that particular feed when I get done reading this article. For those that are new to my channel, I talk about news things and I read these articles for the visually impaired so they don't have to worry about picking up a newspaper or having to go to the TV for their news. But I felt this was important to talk about because um, Bill O'Reilly is the disgraced Fox News host that was paying off a lot of money for sexual harassment claims, and that cost him his job at Fox News. Or as I like to call it, fakes revisionist news. Um, but he went on Sean Hannity's show, and there is audio to that. And let me see here. Let me pull up the article in front of my camera viewer. Uh, and it says here, disgraced former Fox News host Bill O'Reilly resurfaced last night to share his thoughts on the waves of deaths from this COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic. And he doesn't seem to have much sympathy for the victims, who tend to be older and are more likely to have other health problems. And he says, in full quote, many people who are dying both here and around the world were on their last legs anyway. Quote unquote, he said on Sean Hannity's radio show, according to audio posted online by Media Matters. I don't want to sound callous about that, he goes on to say. Hannity fired in, you're going to get hammered for that. And he says, and I quote, I don't care, a simple man tells the truth. And so far as of last night, the infection has killed more than 14,000 Americans since February 28th, the date of the first reported coronavirus fatality in the U.S., and the toll continues to grow. And people are pissed. And it says on Wednesday, 779 people died in New York alone. O'Reilly paid more than $45 million to settle sexual harassment allegations, including $32 million to former Fox News analyst in a scandal that would eventually cost him his job on Fox News. And if you want to keep up to date on the latest on the COVID-19 situation, go to the HuffPost.com website. And once this is over, or we get to where we can get back to some sort of normalcy, I might consider donating to Huffington Post. Because if there is audio to this, it's in the article. It's in the highlighted underline, so you guys could check that out. And I'm going to be checking that out myself. But when I read the words, victims were on their last legs anyway, I went and found his damn Twitter page and I let him know how I feel. But I reported his Twitter. He might not have been posting hateful things on his Twitter, but he has targeted COVID-19 victims. And he did it on Sean Hannity's show, saying that people from here and around the world were on their last legs anyway. And Hannity says you're gonna get hammered for that. And he said, and I quote, in response to the hammering, "I don't care. A simple man tells the truth." He did say that. And it makes me sick. Because let's look at the demographics that it's hit. Stupid teenagers on the beach in Florida. A tiny baby in the hospital. Not to mention other people that have died from it. Let's see. A songwriter that wrote "I Love Rock and Roll" for Joan Jett had to languish in the hospital for 12 to 15 hours. Just in the hopes of getting on a ventilator and on a proper floor where he could have got the treatment that he needed. But they played pussyfoot around in the hospital, leaving a wife disillusioned and with a broken heart and very, very, very alone. And yet, people like Bill O'Reilly and people like Donald Trump have offered nothing to the American people in terms of sympathy. Trump has offered up his sympathies, and who does he offer up sympathy to? Boris Johnson, that's over in the UK in the ICU. Nobody else but him, huh? A primed Trump wannabe. And I went over to Bill O'Reilly's Facebook, and I let him know how I feel. I said, if you were the one that did make that comment, you were on the last legs anyway about the COVID-19 victims. Who in the hell are you? And it's time we mute Bill O'Reilly for good from all forms of social media. And I've told him that. I said, you have no place on any form of social media. And I'm here to say right now, unlike people like Trump and Bill O'Reilly and any other asshole that has their heads up their asses, and Trump's ass for that matter, unlike those creeps, I care about my fellow guy. And when I hear about a faux pas, revisionist Fox News host saying that victims were on their last legs anyway, I'm going to go to the mat for my fellow person. Man, woman, child, transgender, black, white, red, brown, purple, yellow. Never in all my life have I seen such hatred come from an old man who seems to be hobbling himself. He's the Harvey Weinstein of the news media. Once a bastard, always a bastard. Let me read that to you again. So, he says, many people who are dying, both here and around the world, were on their last legs anyway, he said on Sean Hannity's radio show, according to audio posted online by Media Matters. I don't want to sound callous about that, he says, but Hannity interjected, you're going to get hammered for that. And the old man says, I don't care, O'Reilly said. A simple man tells the truth. Really? Really? A simple man tells the truth. Well, let me tell you about a simple man who can't tell the truth. Donald John Trump. He has the brains of a toddler. And toddlers are smarter than Trump. They know what truth is. They're born, kids are born pure. People like Bill O'Reilly and Donald Trump are just pure evil. And it's time to mute the both of them. Mute them for good. And let's look at the stats here one more time. In New York State alone, 779 people died. And O'Reilly has paid over $45 million to sexual harassment allegations. He's paid, including $32 million to a former Fox News analyst in a scandal that eventually cost him the job he had on Fox Revisionist News. It's time to put these small-minded, small-hearted assholes in their place. You have no place on social media, Mr. O'Reilly. Just like your boss, Donald John Trump, has no place on social media standing. Unlike you two, I happen to care about my fellow guy. I happen to care about the neighbors that live around me. I happen to care about my own brother, who put his life on the line for me, just so I could have everything I needed during this pandemic, and he's helping another friend of his. So he could have some money for a cushion because he has actually lost his job for good. Not just because of the coronavirus, but because places like Macy's and Sears and even Kmart are a thing of the past, and they're not able to stand on their legs anymore. And he might not get unemployment because of that. But, Mr. Bill O'Reilly, now you know what it's like to be out of a job. You're a bitter old fart that can't hold water in today's society, and I don't want you to hold water in today's society. You ain't shit. You ain't nothing. Babies and teenagers have died from this. Of course, some teenagers were stupid by going to Florida on spring break. Oh, I'm not going to let that ruin my vacation. A couple of them come back testing positive, and now they learned the hard way. Take this COVID-19 situation seriously. And for the record, Mr. O'Reilly, you look like you're on your last leg, you old fart. You old motherfucker. Hopefully it'll take you before natural causes ever will. To people like him, people like Bill O'Reilly and Donald Trump are using this coronavirus situation as a way of natural selection. That is all this is. And when I hear that he says many people who are dying both here and around the world were on their last legs anyway. And he is callous about it. He did that on purpose. He said he didn't want to sound callous about that. Bullshit. He was callous about it. And when Hannity interjected, you're going to get blowback for that. And he says, I don't care. A simple man tells the truth. Oh, yeah? Look at your boss, man. Look at the guy that has followed you and calls you his news source. You're the grandfather of revisionist history, pal. You and Trump should share a cell together. That's all I'm going to say on that shit. But if you want to hear the audio, it is posted online by Media Matters. And I think I'll play it here. So let me see if this will work. Yeah, let me see here. Let me get some of these tags down so I can scroll down here. Hang on. I get my little news bits. And this is a 1 minute and 10-second clip. So let's listen to this.
I want life back to normal. Can you fix that in a simple way?
Oh, man, I wish I could,
Oh, me too.
But we're making little steps. Bernie Sanders, he's gone. That's really good for everybody. The projections that you just mentioned are down to 60,000. I don't think it'll be that high. 13,000 dead now in the USA. Many people who are dying both here and around the world were on their last legs anyway, and I don't want to sound callous about that.
Oh, you're going to get hold on. You're going to get
I don't care. I mean, a simple man tells the truth.
Well, you mean people that have underlying conditions and compromised immune systems? Any virus, you're saying, would have.
And not only that, but they were damaged. For example, one of the reasons the death rate in Italy and Spain is 10 times higher than in the United States. 10 times. Okay? And somebody can break this to Bernie Sanders. Number one, they have socialized medicine, which is not nearly as good as our private system. But number two, many more people smoke in Europe than.
Oh man, that was some of the clip from Hannity's program. And I'm thinking about sending an email to Mr. Hannity. And I'm glad you tried to call him out on it. At least you have some sense of a moral compass. This is what I talked about last night. If there are people like Bill O'Reilly in the world, then we really are in trouble. How would that make you feel if somebody told you, whether in person or behind the guise of a microphone, how would that make you feel if somebody said, well, your relative was on the last legs anyway, because he had underlying health conditions or he smoked? That would piss me off. If he was right in front of me, he would have had a knuckle sandwich right to the cassava melon of a head of his. Makes me sick. Now let's go over to Facebook. You can look it up on your Facebook feed, I'm sure. So, on my Facebook feed alone, there were 17 comments, or now there's 18. Somebody is saying, right from the loofah man. Another one says, I hope the asshole was next to check out. Another one says, out of probably sarcasm, what a classy guy. Another one says, does he know about all the young people who lost their lives? And another one says, motherfuckers. Another one says, I'd love to punch this motherfucker in the mouth. Another one says, what a prick. Doesn't he know that babies, toddlers, teens, people in their 20s up through the 50s have died? And even higher than that? He's on his last leg. Just saying. In response to that, yes, he is a prick. Nothing of substance has ever come out of his mouth. Another one asked for karma as soon as possible, please. And just as much compassion as Trump, even Satan would be disastered by a creep like a Reiley. Many departed were young, in the prime of life. I think Bill is on his last leg. And another one says, seems like you're hobbling yourself. Another one says, Bill, stop breathing. Another one says, who made this pervert judge? Another one says, these people are so cold-hearted, they don't have souls. And on mine, I hashtagged, remove Bill O'Reilly. Another one says, well, he's on his last legs, and it isn't going to be COVID-19 that's going to bite him. And I think the more current one, so says the unemployed sexual predator and terminally arrogant fool. Fucking rat bastard. And it makes me sick. It makes me pissed as hell. I want people to mute Bill O'Reilly for good. And I do have the audio page up. And I want you guys to listen to that. I'll have the article and the audio. So I'm not lying about that. And this is what I was saying last night about how people are losing their moral code. Well, I'm not. I was raised right. I may be a foul-mouthed little bitch to some people, but I still stand by men, women, and children. Real men and women. Not Sarah Sanders Huckabee, not Trump, not Boris Johnson, and certainly not Mr. Bill O'Reilly. Never let him forget the following words. He has said on Sean Hannity's show as of last night, he says, many people who are dying, both here and around the world, were on their last legs anyway. And I don't want to sound callous about that. And Hannity interjected, well, you're going to get hammered for that. O'Reilly's full comment is, I don't care. A simple man tells the truth. Fuck you, old man. I hope for two things. Either COVID takes you or your old age will take you. You're old. You probably have some underlying health conditions yourself. But since you're a man, you're too much of a pussy to man up and go to your doctor. Come on, man. Because let me tell you something. My brother Jerry had stage 1 kidney cancer. He's in full remission now and has been for over 3 years. And I'm thankful every day for that. But it was his wife who pushed him to finally go to the doctor where they found the little tumor. And thanks to early intervention, they were able to get the tumor only, and he did not have to lose his kidney. And he told everybody on his social media page, please, for the love of God, keep going to your doctors. Your health is the most important thing that you've got. Don't be like me and put it off and put it off and put it off. He learned his lesson the hard way. He had cancer, and now he's cancer-free. But Mr. Bill O'Reilly has probably never been to a doctor. Let's mute this Mr. O'Reilly. Let's mute Donald J. Trump. Let's put these cold-hearted souls in their place. I will stand with my fellow man every time, and I don't give a shit if you're from China or the Middle East or Italy, France, and Rome. I don't care where the hell you're from. Innocent lives have succumbed to this. Partially because some people were rejected because they didn't have health insurance, and part of it is due to overcrowding, and some of it is gross Neolithic incompetence, as seen by Mr. Bill O'Reilly, the grandfather of revisionist news which Trump loves so much. Bitch, please. Sit down, shut up, go into your old age home. You're a sexual pervert, too. We'll never forget that. And as of last night's standings, 779 people in New York State have died alone. So, yeah, think about it. But then people like Bill O'Reilly don't think about nothing. Now that I've said what I said on this crap, I'm going to get off, get this thing uploaded, and get these news articles and sound bit in the description box below. Listen to the audio. I implore you to do that. So you hear it from the horse's mouth himself. The horse's ass himself. You know, and fuck Bill O'Reilly, and fuck you, Donald John Trump. You reap what you sow, old guy. Hopefully, either your health will take you or COVID will take you. People want you to get a harsh dose of karma, and I hope it comes sooner rather than later. I'm out. I gotta wait for my brother-in-law to come this afternoon. I gotta get dressed and I gotta get moving and get things done. I'm out. Have a good day, have a good weekend, and have a good Easter should you decide to go and hang with your family. I will chat with you later. And Mr. Hannity, thank you for standing up for us. And Mr. Bill O'Reilly, you don't have a soul, you don't have a heart. If that was your mother, you know, and I'm glad your mom's dead. If she's dead, I'm glad she's dead. So she doesn't have to see what an ass you are. It has really become a dark day when we can't even find a good, simple dose of a good, honest-to-God moral code. But Sean Hannity should get a medal for having to deal with Mr. Bill O'Reilly. He should get fucking hazard pay for having to interview Bill O'Reilly. But Bill O'Reilly has said, and don't let him forget, many people who are dying both here and around the world were on their last legs anyway. And when Hannity interjected about him getting hammered for that comment, he says, and I quote, O'Reilly says, and I quote, "I don't care. A simple man tells the truth." And as I close this, we have a simple man in the White House, but this simple man that I speak of cannot tell the truth. He is a fan of your revisionist history, Mr. Bill O'Reilly. You lost your job, you're a sexual predator, deal with it, and go into your old age home. Boy, if you ever go into an old age home, I hope you die there sooner rather than later. But that would be too easy for you. I hope you suffer from the words you said about the victims of this. And I want to warn my viewers of what I'm about to do. I don't want to offend anybody with a certain gesture that I'm going to put up for Mr. Bill O'Reilly and Donald John Trump. But up yours, Mr. Bill O'Reilly, and up yours, Donald Trump. Your old ways are on the way out. I'm voting blue, but not for Trump. I'm voting blue, anyone but Trump, 2020. And if you want to mute Mr. Bill O'Reilly from social media, report his Twitter page. I have. It's cold-hearted people like Mr. O'Reilly that have no place on any form of social media. To people like him and Donald Trump and maybe Boris Johnson, what's happening with this coronavirus to them is natural selection. That's what this is. Natural selection. It's kind of like the film The Purge. Except this coronavirus is the murderer. But people that are allowing it to happen, that are continuing to defy social distancing orders or not wear masks, as noted by Trump. People like Trump should be brought up on charges of murder and selling out our country. He basically is selling out our country. And somebody said he's gone total authoritarian. And I told one guy that does one of these visual programs like I do, and I said, Bud, where have you been? Donald Trump has always been authoritarian with people. And it makes me sick. But don't let Bill O'Reilly ever forget what he said. Let's mute him off of Twitter and possible Facebook and any other social media platforms there is. And again, fuck you, O'Reilly, and fuck you, Donald Trump. This is the example you set for our country. Oh, let's stop the bleeding heart bullshit. Let's let people die. But at least places like China actually tried to put a stop to the coronavirus before it even got to our shores. But when you look back at it, it's virtually impossible. Because every country depends on tourism and business trips to survive their economy. But the constant playing down of this COVID-19 since late December, possibly, has caused the most deaths. We have overshot China by miles. But let me get this off, and I'll post the audio and the actual article which I read to you. And I don't know if this will have the actual video hooked to this article. So I haven't really watched any video on the Huffington Post website. But I do have the audio page, so you guys don't have to click any links. Be sure to listen to it. I have it in the video, and I'll have it in the description below, so you can listen to it without having to look at my messy self this morning. But I gotta get off and get prepared in case my brother-in-law decides to show up. So try and have a good weekend. Try and have a good day. I'll keep you posted if anything new comes up on the COVID-19 situation. And to Sean Hannity, thank you for showing some form of a moral code. You should get hazard pay for having to interview Bill O'Reilly. You should get a medal for standing up to Bill O'Reilly. You know, you stood up to a sexual pervert that paid off several sexual harassment claims. And it made him a bitter, disillusioned old man who lost his job because of those things. And because of that, he's lost his fan base. Bill O'Reilly and any other cold-hearted bastard, including one that got like a prize from the president that has cancer, should be muted permanently from any form of media, whether it's radio or online. I'll stand with my fellow guys anytime. And I do have underlying conditions. But then he would have probably said, well, this bitch needs to die too. No. Maybe Bill O'Reilly needs to go into an old age home and get some sort of disease that can take him. But let me see if there's any more comments on my Facebook in terms of that. I mean, it is just so horrible. And I don't want to have to worry about my fellow man. Where are they going to get their help from? You know? But this is the new reality that we are all facing. A cold-hearted man that don't give two craps about us, the humans that run this country. All right. You guys have a good morning, and I'll get back on sometime tonight or in the morning. Hopefully by this afternoon, my brother-in-law will be here to kind of get things back in order in terms of my fan. I think the heater works, but I don't know. So, yeah. Just stay safe, stay warm over the next couple days, and I'll check back in should things change. For any of the COVID-19 information that you need, go to the Huffington Post. You know, they'll direct you to where you can get the best information possible. And I'm glad for Sean Hannity calling out this douchebag on his words that people were on their last legs anyway. You're going to get blowback for that. But the old man says, I don't care. You know, a simple man tells the truth. And that is an outright lie. Because now we are dealing with a simple man in the White House that has no grasp of truth and justice and fair play. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I'll get back on sometime this evening. Hopefully things will get better today, but I don't know. I gotta wash my hair and wait for my brother-in-law to come this afternoon. So, yeah. Talk at you later. And maybe I'll go back to bed for a while and get some more sleep. And if you want to put an end to Bill O'Reilly, go to his Twitter. He is on Twitter. Let him have it. Let him know how you feel. and make him get off of places like Twitter and Facebook and any other media that's out there that he is still on. Have a good day, and I'll check back in with you this evening. So, let me find my camera, and I will put this in the books, and we will call it a day. Bye!